I have a smile on my face for my super talented first guest, who's a multi-BAFTA-winning, Emmy-nominated actor, writer and producer extraordinaire behind some of the funniest must-see TV shows of the past 2 decades. From Pulling to Catastrophe, she's the most prolific and successful one-woman comedy machine Ireland has ever produced. And I am delighted to say she's found some time off from taking over the world to join us here tonight on The Late Late Show. Can you please welcome the writer, the creator and the star of Apple TV's Bad Sisters, Sharon Horgan! Can you feel the love tonight?
Oh, so nice.
Hey,
My Diamante is sticking me to the seat, though. But
that's
it'll
fine.
Be all right.
It's a good look.
Thank you.
And we are delighted you're here. We're delighted that Bad Sisters is back. Are you as excited as we are?
Yeah, I am. I mean, you know, I've been working on it for so long. I was just happy to get it out there, and I'm nervous about the reaction. I mean, especially from like an Irish audience.
We need to just get that out of the way, Sharon. How much do we love Bad Sisters? Well,
that's good. That's
You've nothing to worry about there. I mean, your writing in this is brilliant. The performances, the cast are amazing in it. Was it easier second time round coming back to the Garvey sisters?
Yeah, it was actually. I mean, the first time round we had the Belgian series that, you know, it was adapted from. So, you know, I sort of had that as the foundation. And this time I had to think of a whole thing myself. So that was hard. But in terms of the characters and writing it, like, I knew all those girls. You know, they all kind of entered me as I was writing it, and like, you know, I found it easier. I knew all their voices, and I sort of knew what I was doing, and, you know, the tone of the show was already established, you know.
The tone of the show was already established, but in the second season, I'm 3 in.
Yeah.
You're fully responsible for the plot of season 2.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, there's a shocker in there that I'm not going to spoil for anybody.
Yeah.
How difficult was that to write?
It was really difficult, and we went sort of back and forth on whether we were actually going to do it or not, you know? Now I feel weird, like I'm talking in code. We do a terrible thing at the end of episode 2.
You do?
And, but, you know, it was really important to me to be really brutally honest about, you know, what can happen when you're in a terrible abusive relationship like that. And I loved the end of the first season, but it sort of had a, you know, it was kind of like a perfect ending, but
Tying the bow.
Yeah, life isn't really like that. And I found that I was really interested in telling the story of what you know, the reality is of, you know, a woman like that, as vulnerable and mistreated for so many years, who's been very isolated by that relationship, and what happens when she finds herself in a terrible situation and she can't reach out to her family because she's so used to, you know, dealing with things on her own. So yeah, I mean, it still, I think, is the show. It's still capery, and it's still.
Oh no, it is. It's still delicious.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
One of the most delicious people in it.
Who?
Fiona Shaw.
Oh yeah,
You've got Fiona
really
Shaw
tasty,
on the show, and I kind of think she steals pretty much every scene that she's in.
She declared herself the heroine of the piece when we were doing the junket for it in London. She was like, "Yeah, I am the heroine of the show," and she kind of is. I mean,
did you nearly talk her out of it at one point when you met her?
Well, yeah, but by accident, because she was in our heads from the start to play the character, to be Roger's sister, and so Dervla Walsh, who you know is the series director, and I went to meet her, and she'd read one script, and the first episode is great for that character, so I felt fairly confident, and then she asked me to explain the rest of the series to her. And I hadn't written much of it, but all the ideas were pretty bonkers. And if you were to explain the first season to anyone, they would have thought it sounded kind of crazy, you know. So I sort of explained the whole thing in about 20 seconds because I was so nervous, like dry tongue nervous, sweating. And then, you know, she didn't look super impressed. She looked confused. And then when I went home, I did this sort of love letter email to her and sort of said, you know, I don't know exactly where it's going, but will you sort of trust me on it and come on the ride?
Well, look, I mean, I'm delighted that she did trust you. This is a little clip of you and Fiona in action, Bad Sisters Season 2.
Grace, do you want to throw the bouquet?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Go on, love.
Okay. Here we go, ladies. Who's gonna be next? Ready?
All the single ladies.
Grace.
So good.
Bit of physical comedy,
Done well.
bit of Irish.
Yes.
Hand out three.
Hand out three. I mean, it's all in there.
I'm surprised they didn't get us to, or subtitle it or something.
Well, you're talking about a little bit of Irish. I know that you had a visitor on the set of this season who maybe didn't speak Oscailga.
Oh, yeah.
And you gave
Yes.
him a little welcome.
Yes, we did.
Can you tell us about that?
So when we were, you haven't seen the episode, episode 5 yet, but in episode 5 we do a bit of karaoke and we're all in in sort of fancy dress costume, like BB's dressed as a banana. I'm I don't know, wearing a lion costume, and Ursula's dressed as a slaughter. You know, we were all in ridiculous fancy dress, and Prince Edward.
You nearly said the other one.
Yeah, I know. I really knew
He's
that.
not the one you want turning up.
Yeah. Oh, no, that would have been orcs. But still, it was a bit orcs, just even Prince Edward. But he was doing, you know, he's, I think he's, you know, really interested in obviously, you know, British culture and the sort of studio system, and he was there being given a tour of the Apple studios. And
What do you do?
yes, what do you do? And so he came down, and we didn't know when he'd come down, so we were all in our ridiculous banana costumes, and then we were told he was on his way, so we thought it was kind of hilarious, and we didn't know how far away he was, but we just got really bratty and started singing the Irish national anthem. and then he was, and then he really was just round the corner, and we were all like mic'd up, and then we realised, you know, he'd heard. And anyway, it was kind of like when the Spice Girls met Prince Charles. You know, it just sort of brought out this kind of giddy, bratty kind of how Irish can we be in 30 seconds.
It was like the Spice Girls meeting Prince Charles if the Wolf Tones had turned up. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You are the most prolific and successful writer that we have on this island.
Am I? Is that a fact?
I think you are. Do you? Look at the body language. Look at it. No.
Do I think I are?
But is there ever a point where you actually sit and you realise, yeah, that you are the success that you are?
Oh, well, I mean, a little bit now. You know, I think it's sort of, you know yourself, the whole thing of like, well, especially if you're brought up in a turkey farm, you never really sort of expect things to work out for you in media. And then for a long time, I sort of, you know, felt like I got lucky, and, you know, I met Dennis Kelly and wrote Pulling with him, and then...
Because you didn't get started for a while.
No, I was a bit, in my, you know, doted, well past my prime. Well, I was 36 actually when Pulling came out, but it's a late start for someone, you know, getting into this business, I think. But yeah, I met Rob Delaney, did Catastrophe, thought that was really lucky, and, you know, felt like I'd had a lot of lucky breaks, and so wasn't really quite prepared to go, you know, a well done me. But it turns out if you do it long enough, and, you know, you create a few shows that are sort of bona fide hits, you do sort of, you know, it feels good. But, you know, it never stops being hard. It's not like anything is ever just sort of handed to you just because you've made some good stuff in the past. Everything, it's always a slog. you know, you have to constantly hustle, you know. I'm a hustler. That's why I'm sort of always making stuff, because I'm always hustling.
Getting out there and doing it. You lost your dad, John, last year.
Yeah.
And I know he was a big fan of
Yes.
Big Sisters.
Yeah. Well, Bad Sisters.
Bad Sisters.
He wasn't.
He wasn't a
He
he wasn't a
never
big.
liked Big Sisters.
He wasn't Big Sisters. Big Sisters. That's the sequel. He used to turn up on set, didn't he?
Yeah, he came down on set for the first season, actually, and he came down for the second season with my mum as well, and was fascinated by the process of it and how skilled everyone was at their particular part of the job, you know, and met everyone. It was just a very curious, interested, just great man, and very sort of, you know, really sort of pushed us to be the best that we could be. And even when he was in hospital, I brought him in. I did a little sort of edited clip of what we'd sort of made so far, and I brought it into him, show him, and he was like, watch it. And he went, well, the good news is there's plenty of time for it to get a lot better. And which is, you know, great. And
Which is what you want to hear.
yeah, exactly.
And if your dad's not going to tell you that, who is?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that he would have been very, very proud this week. I know it's a big week for the family.
It is a big week. I posted a thing on social media today saying, you know, you wait for one Horgan project and then 3 of them turn up at once. So my sister's documentary, Housewife of the Year, is released today in our cinemas. You all have to go and see it. And my brother, Mark Horgan's, he made the Where's George Gibney podcast. So this is his follow-up.
Steak
Knife, yeah. So, and that's released today as well. I'm really, really proud of both of them.
This is how you know that you've made it, because you can just come on and talk about everything that you've done. And by the way, check this out as well on top.
I know, it feels great.
Look, come back and see us. Is there going to be season 3?
Oh, God, I'm so tired. I don't know.
Can you not just be as tired and maybe write it for us?
I feel like it sort of ended in a... It ends in a... Watch it and see what you think, and then ask me.
OK. That means it is or it isn't?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Well, look, come back and see us
I will.
anytime. Season 2 of Bad Sisters continues on Apple Plus every Wednesday. You can stream the first 4 episodes right now. Give it up one more time for Sharon Horgan.